Hey, this is Hammer Down Trucker Talk. I'm going to be serious with y'all for a little while. I'm going to tell you about my experience in my first year of trucking. I got my CDL, went to work for the big company. All right, a training company. There's several training companies out there. Went to work for them for 1 year. All right, I had to sign up for 1 year. All right, and with that, me signing up for 1 year, I went all over this beautiful country of ours. Okay, that's the greatest experience I've ever had, to be honest with you. Now, I did about 2,000 miles a week, which is nothing in trucking. Nothing in trucking. 2,000 miles a week. Okay. After I was there a year, that following January, I started in late December and followed the following January. After a year, what I gotta say is I said something to them. I said, did y'all see my W-2? They said, what? I said, I ain't making no money. They said, so the last 2-3 months, I made more money the last 2 months because I left them in February. I made more money in 2 months than I did the whole year before. Okay? They started giving me loads. Boom, 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 boom. I stayed in truck stops. And, it's just, I'll tell you one thing, man, it's an experience. It's an experience. Because I came home 5 times my first year. 5 times. They told me every 2 weeks, you'll be home for 2 days. I never got home for 2 days. 5 times in 1 year I came home. 5 times. I can count on one hand. 5 times. I had a good dispatcher for the first 6 months. Then they switched me over to another guy, and he was a new guy, and it was, he was nice, but he had 50 trucks he had to handle. Yeah. So when you got 1,000 truck drivers, you ain't making no money unless you're like on a dedicated thing. Then you'll be making some money. I tell you what, if I was gonna tell a new guy right now that wanted to change and get into trucking, change careers, get into trucking, I would say go get your CDL, sign up for the big company so you can get that experience, over-the-road experience. Everybody wants you to have over-the-road experience, okay? Get your over-the-road experience for the big company. Work there a year, then go somewhere with an LTL company, okay? Somewhere local near where you live. Hey, just work for a smaller company. And just, and that's how you're going to move up into the pay scale, into a living pay scale. Because your first year in trucking, that's why people quit. People quit because they have bills. They can't afford their bills, and with the first year in trucking. Because they ain't going to pay you nothing, okay? Because they don't even know how you're going to drive. Do you know how long it takes you to get where you can ride and, hammer down like I like to do? Well, when you going to hammer down and you ride, you're going to have to ride a good ways. They're going to have to see that you can move that trailer and that truck and that freight. You got to show them what you can do. And the day you first get in your truck, you're not going to be able to do 10 hours all day long. You know why? I mean, some of you may be able to, but that's a long time to be riding behind that wheel, okay? All right? And it takes a little time to get used to because, your normal person, 4 or 5 hours, maybe 8 hours at the most, they're going to ride, and that's it, So you just need to hang out, do your first year, do the best job you can, your ability that you can do. And once you do, move to the next company, okay? But keep everything nice and clean. keep your driving record clean. Because you know what happens in your car stays with you. Okay, all right. So just keep everything nice and clean. Drive. Don't have no accidents. Don't tear up a lot of stuff, because that means you can't go get another job, because that company's gonna, put on your DAT report. If they're still doing that. About the driver, they're gonna say, hey, this driver, done this, done that, a bunch of BS, actually. So just work your job for a year and then move to the next job. If you're a new guy, that's my experience. Because my experience, my first year, I made $19,900. I got a W-2. I had 5 checks with this company. One check had 5 cents. I called them. You know what I called them? I called them and said, hey, why don't you just wait till next week to give me that? Okay? And then my next check was $1. Then one check was $19. Then one check was $20. But the good thing is, I paid all my child support that year, but I didn't have no other bills. Because you know why? I closed up everything. I didn't have no bills. Okay? All right? Couldn't afford no bills anyway, whatever I did. Okay? So, like I said, just, do it the best you can with that one company, then get away. And then you'll start making some money. Okay? Like I said, LTL, they're paying pretty good. If you're going with a big company. If not, go with a smaller company. They'll pay you good, okay? Some small companies right now will hire a new driver, but you got to get that license now. You got to get that license first. But a lot of them want experience, okay? So just hang out, do your job, do the best you can. Don't worry about complaining. They don't want to hear you complain. More you complain, more they're going to put you on the back burner. I never complained one time, except that following January. I said, hey, I ain't making no money. And then when I did, they gave me some loans. I made, $3,500 in 2 months. I was like, oh, man, that's pretty good. I mean, compared to what I was making, $5, 5 cents, $1, $20, $18 one check. And when you show that to the DOT officer, when they asked if you have a Bluetooth, and you said, no, I don't have Bluetooth, I had a Kentucky DOT officer. My last 5 check stops, once the Bluetooth came into play, I handed him my 5 check stops. I said, tell me where I can afford a Bluetooth. He said, sir, you right. And I was like, well, that's all I want to say is that, I am trying my best out here in this truck. And I told him, I said, look, officer, I said, if you're going to give me, I won't never forget, I was in Lexington, Kentucky, and up on 75. And he said, if you're going to give me that ticket for $2,500, I said, can you give me a ride? He said, ride where? I said, to the airport. He said, well, why you want to ride to the airport? I said, cause. I said, I don't have a job. And I said, if you're going to give that company that $10,000 ticket, I said, I know I ain't going to have a job. Well, lo below, he gave me a $25 ticket. He didn't give the company a ticket because he saw my last 5 paychecks. So the company called me, said, so how'd you get this ticket? We've never seen this ticket for $25. I said, well, ma'am, I said, if you show the officer your last 5 page stubs, that officer ain't gonna give you no $25. They gave me a $25 ticket because of my last 5 pay stubs. She said, well, what are they? I said, well, you look them up. You're right behind the computer. You got my name. You got all the information you need from me. And the woman said, so was you sitting in the parking lot? I said, no, I was going down the road talking on my phone. I said, I dropped my phone, waved at the officer. He pulled me over. And so when I told her that, I had somebody call. And the guy called. I had him call and said, so what's the recourse of getting a cell phone violation ticket. And they said, well, you don't have a job. So I found me a job. Done been there 12 months, 13. I was there 14 months at the time. And the person said, well, you don't have a job. So my buddy called me back and said, well, you ain't don't have a job. I said, all right. So I told my dispatcher, I said, dispatcher. I said, yeah. I said, let me tell you something. I was at that time, by that time, all this was happening, I was down in Louisiana. He said, well, I got you a run from Louisiana all the way to Arkansas, and we got a HOS class for you in Arkansas. That was where their main terminal was. And I said, hey, man, I said, if this is my last ride, this is what I told my dispatcher. I said, can't I do a HOS class in Atlanta? Because that's where their next terminal closer to North Carolina. All right. You know what he said? He said, man, he said, I'll be right back with you. And so he called me back about 10 minutes later. He said, hey, man, I got you a ride from, as soon as you get up here with that load, you go pick up this other load and take it to Atlanta and drop it off. And you'll be there by Monday. And Monday they'll have a HOS class. This was a weekend run. I was like, all right. I said, man, I appreciate you giving me my last ride. So on the way home, I called this other company. And I said, hey, I said, can y'all hire me? Gave them my information. Said, yeah. They said, why are you leaving? I told them. I said, well, you know, they said, all right. He said, you going to have to get you a Bluetooth if you're going to be on your phone. I said, that ain't no problem. And anyway, like I said, that's when that law first came out, the Bluetooth law for us commercial motor vehicle guys. And as I did that, man, fellas, I got that job, and it's like, oh, man, I was making some money then. I started making some real decent money where I can actually live again, okay? And, you know, history's been wrote since, but I've been doing the best I can ever since. And I'm going to tell you right now, but my experience, that was my 100% experience, and no jokes about it. But I'm just, I'm proud to be a trucker. I'm proud to have that experience, okay? That way I know I can share my story with new guys out there working for these new companies. Now, if these new companies have changed their ways, I don't think they have, all right? Because it's just, they're just not going to, okay? They don't care, okay? They're getting these new guys, and half of them don't even make it. You know what I'm saying? Make it into trucking. Because, you know, people, once you become a truck driver and once you get working for that big company and once you decide you're over the road trucking for that year, you're never coming home, okay? You ain't gonna be home. So that experience of not being around your friends, your family, all that time, you know, that's gonna be hard for a lot of people, okay? And I understand it. It was hard for me. I dealt with it for 1 year, but that was my goal. 1 year, get away from the company. That was my ultimate goal. And I don't even like quitting people, but thank you to that DOT officer in Kentucky that day, because when he gave me that piece of paper and I faxed it in to that, was it Transflow? Yeah, I transflowed it in, and they called me about 3 or 4 days later and asked me about it, and I told them. And the woman said, she said, okay, well, have a nice day. I said, yep, you too. And that's when I found out that I didn't have a job, and I'm okay with it, okay? Because I was trying to tell them I wanted to quit anyway, especially after the conversation I had. I said, did you see my W-2 this past year to my dispatcher? He said, no. I said, well, look it up. You got it right there in front of you. You got all my information. How much money you've paid me all year. All you got to do is look it up. And I said, what you going to do? Fire me? $19,900? Shoot, back then I could have went to work at McDonald's and made more money than that. I could have been a greeter at Walmart and made more money than that. But anyway, so again, my experience only. Everybody's experience is a little bit different. I understand. But that's my tale, and I'm going to sit on it because that's the truth right there. But I tell you what, I won't take it away from me because guess what? It's taught me a lot about trucking. It's taught me a lot about life. And it's taught me one thing, that the man who created all this land, it's a beautiful place.